Welcome to Middlesex Moments, live from Middlesex Community College, located in Middletown, Connecticut. I'm your host, Interim Campus CEO, Kim Hogan. Today is our final show of the spring 2023 semester, and we have a very special production planned for you today. As a reminder, Middlesex Moments is a series that's produced together with students in Professor Rich Lenosi's studio television production class. This class meets weekly on Friday mornings, but our students work diligently during the week to prepare for our Facebook Live broadcasts. Our students plan, film, and edit news stories between our shows, and they run all of the equipment that makes Middlesex Moments come together from our studio on the beautiful Middletown campus. Today's show will feature a look back at the history of Middlesex Community College. I will be joined by long-term faculty members Professor John Schaefer and Professor Victor Trier, as well as longtime media associate Michael Cavanaugh. First up, let's get started with our news segment on the show that we call In the Loop. Today's In the Loop segment was pre-recorded to allow us the opportunity to enhance our student learning experience by filming live on location for the second half of the show. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you enjoy getting to know more about your college. Our Center for Civic Engagement organized a Habitat for Humanity Build Day with our local chapter. Several members of our MXCC community volunteered at this event. Let's see what that day entailed.
Today we're here on a team build day, so we have about 10 people from Middlesex acting as volunteers. We've been doing siding, we've been working up in the rafters for the attic, helping do some insulation for the duct, and now the crew is putting insulation in the walls. Habitat for Humanity does a lot. I think they've been an organization that's been around for a long time. They have volunteers come to build houses. They find a family that needs a home and builds one for them.
Habitat for Humanity has been an organization I've been involved with some time, although I've never actually gotten to do a house build. Habitat in the community, it means a lot of things, providing resources with their stores, their fundraising events, but also providing a family of 5 a new home here in the town of East Hampton.
The homeowner is selected through kind of a long process. There's an application meeting in which the public is invited to learn about the process. After that, there's an application that they have to turn in that goes over financial qualifications. It talks about how many people are in their household, their income, those sorts of things. They submit that, those are reviewed. Then there's a committee that goes out and meets with the potential applicants who have been financially qualified. And then the homeowner is selected.
What can people do to help? Join, get involved, sign up online, whether it's with this organization or any of the others. I know there's been quite a few activities going on in the campus center lately, so feel free to stop by, whether it's bracelet making for the women's shelter, dog treats for the local animal shelters. It's everybody's job to be a good person, and if we could help each other out, it makes the world go better. So my recommendation is to find something you're passionate about and find that to be able to help others.
We are happy to have been able to help Habitat for Humanity with their home building project, and we look forward to future partnership builds. Earlier this semester, we reported that 7 Middlesex Community College students became legislative interns. Let's take an inside look at this internship opportunity with State Senator of the 34th District, Paul Ciccarella, as well as student intern Caitlin Hall.
Internships are very, very important for a few different reasons. They're going to get the ability to be in this building multiple days where not everybody gets that opportunity. They're also going to be able to learn about what we do here. To allow somebody to try something, I think the best way of learning is to do that.
I'm part of the honors program at Middlesex, and Professor Tad Lincoln came in and talked to all of the honors students about the internship, and then my second year I ended up doing it. I talked to the aide, Jamie, almost every day about anything that I can do with constituent work. I come in, I talk to Jamie, I see anything that has happened since the last time I was here. She typically prints me out a piece of paper that has the whole schedule on it, which makes it super easy for me to follow.
When I get the opportunity to work with Caitlin, and I give a task, I really give her the creativity to do the task the way she thinks it would be best done, and give some feedback or insight. And when you spend time here in the building and actually see the process, it gives you a clear understanding that sometimes what you see on the news isn't exactly what is happening.
There's so many different things that I could be doing. It could change from emailing constituents back, help make a citation, going into public hearings, or sitting in committee meetings. Pretty much just supporting him in anything that he needs in order to be ready.
I think it's important that young people get involved. They want their voices heard. and they should be. And this is a great way to get your foot in the door to possibly being in office one day.
We are very proud of our legislative internship program and thankful for the work that Professor Tad Lincoln puts in to make this program as successful as it is. The Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society local chapter, Beta Gamma Xi, held their annual induction ceremony on April 14th. Let's take a look at that event now.
Tonight we are having our PTK induction ceremony for the Beta Gamma Xi chapter of Phi Theta Kappa.
PTK is the International Honor Society for two-year community colleges. It recognizes the students for their accomplishments.
Tonight we are featuring our new inductees. So they're the new members of PTK who have earned a 3.5 minimum GPA, and we're honoring them for their academic achievements.
We're going to have CEO Hogan, she's the interim CEO in Middlesex. We're going to have the chair of the foundation board, Middlesex Foundation Board, Chris Dibble, and I believe we're having Dean Bentonivus as a speaker too.
So our chapter earned the first place award for the most distinguished chapter in the New England region, along with numerous other awards, including first place for our Honors in Action project, second place for our college project. Dr. Lynn, one of our advisors, earns the award for most distinguished chapter advisor, and Catherine and I received awards for most distinguished chapter officers. This definitely means a lot. We're very proud of all of the regional awards that we received, and it's nice to know that our hard work officially paid off, especially working with such a great team of officers and advisors. Yeah. It was definitely a team effort, which is very helpful just to raise awareness that there's so many talented students and so many students exceeding academically, and you'll see that tonight with our new inductees. And I think that just helps Middlesex to get the recognition that it deserves. We're looking forward to welcoming the new members. We all love seeing new members. Yeah.
Congratulations to all of our PTK inductees, and thank you for chapter advisors Dr. Lynn Lynn, Anton Pettiford, and Landy Howe for their outstanding leadership. April was a very busy month on our campus. Our library hosted an MXCC authors reception featuring several talented faculty and staff that presented their work in the April library display. Let's hear from some of the authors now.
So the library is hosting a display to celebrate our faculty and staff's published work. So the library team feels so proud, feel honored that we are able to celebrate with them, and we're just so proud that we are able to work with so many talented colleagues at Middlesex.
I wrote children's books because I'm in early childhood education, and reading literacy is very, very important. I started thinking about and writing that book because those are the stories that I was told when I was little. The next step I'm going now is to voice reading it aloud, because reading aloud is very, very important. I always tell my students that when they are working with every child, they should understand that every child is an illiterate. Our goal is to make every child literate. Reading to young children help them a lot.
So some of the work that I have lent to the library and that's displayed here today has to do with research that I did looking at the economic situation of older women, specifically looking at the economic situation of women who are divorced as they enter into older age. But as divorce became more common, more socially acceptable, more women underwent dissolution of marriage, more women entered older age as divorcees and people who had not remarried. And so I had the question, well, what happens to those women when they get older? And we didn't have much research to answer that question. And so that was my area of exploration when I did my dissertation as a PhD student, and some of the work that I did afterwards.
I met one of the authors that was a graduate of Middlesex just a few years ago. Special thanks to all of our librarians for putting together this very special event, and to the Center for Teaching for sponsoring the reception. To learn more about the authors of MXCC, please visit our library located in Chapman Hall. As a reminder, the annual MXCC Foundation Grad Dash, our 5K, 10K race, will be held on Saturday, May 20th. It does not matter if you're a serious runner or a casual walker or a spectator. Taking part in the Grad Dash helps the foundation support student success through scholarships and academic program development. To sign up to become a sponsor, please visit our website at mxcc.edu/run for more details. In our last show, we reported that Middlesex students Christy Lynn Levesque and Emily Adams, along with other Connecticut State students, attended the Oxford Consortium for Human Rights workshop at Oxford University in England last month. Student Christy Lynn was interviewed, so let's hear more about this experience from her.
I learned a lot about human rights. I learned about how the world works. We worked in a lot of group activities and talked about the things that concern us the most that is happening around the world and this country. I also learned a lot about the civil rights movement and Martin Luther King and how he organized his movement. I loved it. I would do it again if I had to. Oxford was an amazing experience. I'm so honored to have been chosen for that experience. I met some lifelong friends there, and I know that this trip has awoken a passion of fire inside of me for human rights and getting justice for people. When I walked into the trip, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with my career. I knew that I wanted to pursue law school and switch to English from criminal justice. When I got there, I found my place. And so when I came back, I was able to bring back exactly what I wanted to do.
There will be a virtual panel discussion with the full cohort of our System Community College students that attended the workshop on May 15th at noon. If you're interested in attending, please email Corey Martell at cmartell@mxcc.edu for details. The Middlesex Community College Foundation helps sponsor our two students to attend. If you're interested in supporting endeavors like these, please visit mxcc.edu/foundation to donate today. As part of our Library Week celebration, 4 different local libraries visited MXCC. Let's take a look at this event.
Well, it's National Library Week, and today is National Library Outreach Day, and Middlesex Library has invited 4 public libraries to campus, so to talk to students, faculty, and staff about their amazing events, resources, and services. And if you live in those towns, as a bonus, you can also sign up for a library card.
So we're from the Wallingford Public Library in Wallingford, Connecticut, and we have a booth here at Middlesex Community College to tell people about all the different things that we offer at the library and to offer them to sign up for library cards and, help out and do some outreach.
We also have, if you have a Wallingford card, we have resources for career hunting, one called Job Now. We also have events for adults. I think a lot of people think that once you're no longer a kid or you're not a parent that the library isn't for you, but that's not true. We have a ton of stuff for people of all ages. We just have a lot of great things in our library that are constantly going. With the new Geo mission for summer reading, we'll have little libraries, like the ones that you see in neighborhoods with the books in them, and they're kind of like the cute little libraries. Other things we are advertising is our podcast. It's called Middletown Strong. It's 6 librarians who work together and interview people in the community and tell their story, and the whole theme of our podcast is that of gratitude.
Thank you to our guest librarians for making it easy for our students to obtain a local library card and for reminding us that community libraries are available to us for more than just books. The 9th Annual Academic Convivium was held on April 28th. More than 26 students from MXCC and Naugatuck Valley Community College participated in this all-day event, featuring student oral presentations and poster sessions on research topics. Some of the topics that were included were the effects of fast food on sleep and general health, the influence of gender roles and stereotypes in society, the truth of stem cells, solving the Rubik's Cube, and looking at anxiety in dogs, just to name a few. One student researched the glorification of serial killers in the media. Let's learn more about this research.
So the Academic Convivium is an annual event that we have at MXCC. It's always in the spring, and it's our student research fair. So our students across campus get to present either in an oral presentation, a speech form, or in a poster form, the the work that they have done over the course of the year. So Christina Paternostro is interested in criminal justice and in the phenomenon in our society of glorification of serial killers.
A lot of the shows, movies, documentaries tend to cast attractive actors to portray these serial killers. So I wanted to kind of view the psychology behind that as well and figure out why I like to watch it and why everybody else likes to watch a lot of that type of media.
She's taken an academic lens to look at this very pop culture phenomenon of interest in serial killers.
There's a lot of mental health impacts from just watching too much true crime, too much serial killer media. You often are too scared to leave the house. A lot of women, especially because we're more prone to be victims, unfortunately, of this type of crime. So a lot of women think that's going to happen to them. And families of the victims have mentioned multiple times that Netflix did not reach out to them. They are not getting any profits. A lot of people are starting to become more angry over these releases. So we just need to stop creating this form of media.
I've always been amazed by the interesting topics covered at the Convivium, and this year was no different. A very special thanks to Dr. Andy Levy for her leadership in this awesome showcase of student work. Also, thank you to all the supporting faculty that work with our students to prepare for their presentations. I hope you have enjoyed these short stories highlighting some of the many great things happening at your community college. You are now what we say in the loop with what's happening at Middlesex Community College, the only public college or university located in Middlesex County. If you would like to read more about news at MXCC, please visit our website at mxcc.edu/news. After a short break, we'll be live on location in the MXCC Pavilion located in Founders Hall. I will be joined by long-term faculty members, Professors John Schaefer and Professor Victor Trier, as well as long-term media associate Michael Kavanaugh. We'll be right back.
Middlesex Community College has developed a Fundamentals of Marine Services program. This 8-week program teaches students the essential skills needed to maintain boats in Connecticut waterways. Topics covered include boating basics, electrical, plumbing, and propulsion systems, along with marine engines, rigging, and structural materials. It's never too early or too late to start a career in the marine trades. The job opportunities are endless. Enrolling now, visit mxcc.edu/ce.
So the reason I chose the Middlesex Veterinary Technology program was because of all the opportunities it had with Piper Olson Veterinary. There's no other place where you would have access to that. I would definitely recommend Middlesex to anybody who's interested in that career because you're going to be 100% prepared to start your job. That is really empowering.
Welcome back. Here we are in the pavilion located in Founders Hall, live on location. I'm your host, Kim Hogan, Interim CEO of Middlesex Community College, and I am joined with longtime professors Victor Trier and John Schaefer, and media associate Michael Kavanaugh. Welcome. Thank you both all for being here.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about the legacy of Middlesex Community College, and there was a project that was started by Dr. Trier earlier this semester after you came back from sabbatical.
Correct.
And why don't you tell us a little bit how you got this started?
Well, I think for a few years I'd had it in mind to interview some of the founders of the college. When I came to Middlesex, I was very young. I was in my mid-20s. A lot of the founders were still here. They were my colleagues. Of course, they're much older than I was. Over the years, they retired, and I think a lot of us knew them, but even the people who weren't among the founders who knew them started to retire as well, and I realized that there's probably very few of us on campus who even, whoever knew them. So I had that in mind, and then I went on sabbatical, and I did a lot of different historical research and projects while there, including finding old pictures, figuring out who the people were in the pictures, identifying them, captioning them. I helped curate a museum in Florida. And so I came back and wondering how I could use this with my honor students. And then I thought, well, maybe a project on the founding of the college. And then almost as soon as the idea developed, one of the librarians, I forget how we ended up at this point in the conversation, said, oh, we have an archive room here. I'd been here 31 years. I never knew we had an archive room. I said, can you take me? He said, yeah, it's right here. And all of a sudden, this whole world opened up of all the old yearbooks, stacks of photographs that weren't captioned. I mean, just everything you can imagine. And so what I ended up doing, to make a long story short, I divided the students into 3 groups. One of them took somewhere around 50 of those photographs, not all of them, and their instructions were to caption them. Of course, to do that, they had to ask questions, do some research, find out who these people were. Some of them came and spoke to the interviewees, which I'll mention in a moment, to see who these people were. So it took some work, and then I taught them how to caption, the language to use. They did it, and then they would show it to me, and then I would say, we'll change this.
Mhm.
I have another group doing museum-type displays, which they're going to put in the library, using some of the artifacts, having them find out, from, this year, well, what was the #1 song and what was the average price of a gallon of gas and all of that. And then the third group was doing interviews. I would have liked to have done more, but 8 was a lot. And I have to say that was a great collaboration, because it was the library, me, John's department, right, and students there filming. So it really took 3 different entities on campus to do this. And we spoke, I think it was to 8 of the folks who were here in the late 1960s, back when we didn't have a campus. And then from there, the college went to Connecticut Valley Hospital, and then finally in the early 70s, this campus opened. So we took it through all those years.
So the first decade or so of
the first decade or so, yeah, because the college officially opened in 1966, and the new campus in 1973. And so I said, we'll take a little bit beyond that,
Right.
just to where the new campus got some traction and people got adjusted to it. And it was
Right.
fantastic. It was really great.
And so when we had talked about this project, I just felt that it was so important for us to capitalize right now, because we're going to become one community college here in Connecticut called CT State, and we'll be the Middlesex campus of that new college. So I just think the timing was perfect that we have this,
Yes,
this chrono going on.
and a lot of the founders were still around.
Right.
Again, I've been doing interviews, historical interviews, for over 30 years. And I tried to emphasize to the students and to the interviewees, right now you're a historical figure. You're the ones who started this college.
Right.
I mean, I knew them as colleagues, but they've, looking back, they really contributed a great deal and sacrificed a
Absolutely.
lot. And got the ball rolling on what now countless thousands have benefited from in the community. And they're very generous with their time and sharing stories and what the campus was like and how they got things started. And I think it surprised a lot of the students, because a lot of it was so informal, on the spot,
Right.
making things up as they went along.
Right.
And they really created something special.
That's excellent, excellent. So for the two of you, I brought along some photos, and we're going to show the first one now, if you would. And so we're looking at the changes in technology. So when the college started, not only did we not have a campus, but the technology was a little bit different than it is today. And John, I think that on the bottom left there is the original studio.
That's our old television studio in Snow Hall, where we were, just working with non-digital
Right.
Video cameras, but we were still able to do a tremendous amount of work in there. We had TV shows, not unlike this, news shows that we would broadcast on cable television.
Right.
We would do political debates of local politicians. We started our corporate media production center, which
Right.
provided internships.
And so the corporate media, just for everybody else that's watching, the 2 PSAs that you saw, kind of the commercials, if you will, that you saw about the college were actually produced through that program still today.
Yep.
So that's excellent. And then, Mike, the other 2 photos in here, if you want to just tell us a little bit about what it was like for students that were in those carols up above.
The upper right-hand corner is the carols in the library. People would come in, they would sign out headphones that were these big things that would go in, be able to listen to recordings that they weren't able to tap into the internet or anything, because the internet didn't exist. So, and then the bottom one is one of the big programs we had here was secretarial studies. So the classrooms were filled with these IBM Select typewriters. There was very few computers on campus. There was, a couple of the administrators had some old, slow ones, but IBM Selects were mostly the typewriters of choice, and all the secretaries had them, and classrooms were full of them.
A lot different than today.
And it's a lot different than today.
So if we could take a look at the next slide, we also had some changes in leadership. And I believe you guys started with one of the presidents on the screen. So we have President Chapman, who was here when you started, right? And the other being Phil Wheaton, who, if you know anything about our campus, you know we have two different buildings named after those two presidents to preserve their legacy. So what was it like working under President Chapman?
He was a guy who, he was really hands-on. He's a lot like you, Kim. He was out amongst the offices. He'd wander around. The division chairs had meetings that he was involved in, along with Dean Coggins. So yeah, he was definitely an appearance.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just say, I think one of the great things about Chapman was that he really respected the faculty and staff to be able to do their jobs.
Excellent.
And allowed us to really thrive in the sense of
and build our college.
And build our college. So.
And I think the next slide, if you could, the next slide, I think we have a dean.
I think it's Dean Zabel.
Dean Zabel, who was the Dean of Students at the time.
He was Dean of Students at
so
the
all
time.
the students that right now deal with Dean Hansen, this would be who you would be dealing with at that point in time. And if we can go to the next slide, a lot of students talk to me about having sports teams. You know, that's one of the things that we missed on our campus. And then, Victor, you go and do this project and you show, oh, we did have a lot of sports teams. And did we have any of those when you guys started?
We did. We had a whole athletic sports program. We had a basketball team, as you could see from the photo. They even were a very good basketball team, and I think they won a championship or two.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that was a vital part, sports were a vital part of the early days of the college.
And they practiced down at the Middletown YMCA. If I remember right, the sports were actually, the coaches were like double duty. They were faculty members and the coaches.
I think we were talking earlier, was it Professor Nagel?
Yeah.
Tell us how that kind of started.
Who taught English here for many years, you know, says the story that they wanted a soccer team and they assigned him to be the coach. I mean, they asked him, so you played soccer, right? He says, well, I only played in the murals. And I go, that's good enough, you're the soccer coach. And so he became, and then there's pictures of Bill with the soccer team, and I think they were out from the buildings around it, out where Pat Kidney Field is
Down now, yeah.
which I guess used to be where Woodrow Wilson High School was.
So, John, do you think that if we had sports now, or back then, that students went out and covered, like we saw these packages that we did now, would students be able to have done that back then?
Unfortunately, the technology that we had these big, heavy cameras and equipment. It made it very difficult for us to.
So not the bags that our students are used to going.
Right, to capture the sports events, so we weren't able to do that at that time.
But I think that we captured.
And then they shut it down. You know,
oh, yeah, of course, no more athletics.
The sports program got shut down for budget reasons.
Right, but the way that we archived at that point, we took photos, so there must have been some kind of media presence. And I think, Victor, you mentioned that we had yearbooks, right?
Yeah, there were yearbooks, you know, into the 1970s.
Right, so an actual book that you would open, you look at pictures. Now we just look at everything online.
Right, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, yearbooks like any high school or grade school would have a yearbook.
So a little different than today.
Yeah, and in the early years, I think they had student portraits as well. You know?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. We have you know, a little bit of a look back at campus life, and this here, I think, is a photo that was taken from when we had the first student center, student lounge, if you would, but maybe located in the cafeteria or someplace other than where it is now.
That picture looks like it's the cafeteria. I don't remember the pool table being in there, but just the wall looks like it was the cafeteria wall.
But I think it's kind of interesting. Pool table then, pool table now. The similarities are still there, and we still have the same type of campus life. Can we go to the next slide, please? And also, as part of campus life, as faculty and staff, we have meetings, and I don't know if you remember any of the folks on here. You know, I know that Professor Wiley was definitely still
Wiley,
here.
Peter Capriolio, and John McGurganis.
And so, so what was that part of campus life like?
Well, I will say that I think there's a really strong sense of community back in those days, both between faculty and staff who often socialized with each other, as well as with students. And students were, I think, very involved in the college community. And there's a really close relationship between faculty, staff, and students as well. So it was really like a family, almost like a family atmosphere on campus. Unfortunately, I think we've lost a little bit of that today. So.
Well, what's interesting about that concept, though, is that when I talked to one of the students that was doing this project, she mentioned that all of a sudden everybody that was working on this project all of a sudden was very interested in their college and how they started to refer to it and having that immense pride of the history of what we consider our college, but it's also their college. And so that was kind of interesting. And while we were talking earlier, I don't remember which one of you mentioned about, when you moved, everybody pitched in and you moved people around.
Well, yeah, it was just very normal. At least in my department, if someone was moving, everybody would show up to help them move, and I think you pretty much knew what the inside of everyone else's house looked like because it was just normal. People lived locally, and you'd get together for dinner, or John, I remember, came to my house a few times. We were playing in the liberal arts program, and he rode his bike to my house, and it was just a normal thing, and where your colleagues, was also your social circle. And I think that in the general culture kind of disappeared a little bit. What you see people there doing is voting. We used to have a lot of meetings where people voted. We had PSA, any major academic questions, administrative questions had to be brought before PSA, which was a Professional Staff Association, right? And so we spent many hours and many meetings voting on many things as a faculty and staff. So,
you mentioned this concept of family. Now, I think that Middlesex has extended into all three of your families in some way. Yeah. You want to talk about that a little bit, Mike? Start it off.
Like you just said, it was family. Like my kids attended classes here. I know Victor and John's children also came.
And I have two coming in the fall. They're going to be taking
classes. So the generations just continue.
Yeah, and I think I had both their kids.
Are you going to date yourself now?
Right. And I've had your
and John has had all three of my kids in his classes, all three of them.
And we have some in the audience. I see we have some other professors here that I'm sure had children.
And my wife took art classes here as well, so everyone in my family has been a student here.
Yeah. So that's really, I think, is a true testament to the commitment that we have, with our college.
Well, I remember an interim president once asked, would you send your children to this college? And it's like, yeah, I thought.
He was old enough, I think he said, would you send your grandchildren?
Right, would you send your grandchildren? And yeah, I mean, all three of my children came here. So
yeah, we're not at the grandchildren.
I didn't hesitate because I knew, where they were going and who they were going to have teaching them, and I had full confidence in that.
Yes. Well, I am just so delighted and grateful for the three of you coming to talk to us a little bit about our college today. I'm sure the students here also appreciate that. This is our final Middlesex Moments show of the semester. So with that, I'm going to say thank you very much for listening today and watching. And
don't forget our Arts and Media Festival.
Oh, we added, okay, the Arts and Media Festival, yes. So I believe, I have to confirm this, but I believe that's where we're going to actually see those interviews. Is that correct?
That's what we're hoping, yes.
Yes, so please come to the campus. Join us on May 19th. You will not be disappointed. You will see all the students that are behind the cameras. You'll see the wonderful visual arts product that comes out of our programs here. It is a wonderful day, and I really hope to see you there. Again, thank you. I'm Kim Hogan, your interim campus CEO, your host of this show, and very, very happy to have you watching. So thank you.